favorite pastimes, to the Protestant Rhineland. Louis's bellicose tendencies reached their zenith when the Spanish throne fell empty, and he sought, with its line of succession sharply contested, to take control of his Iberian neighbor and its vast overseas holdings by installing one of his grandsons, Philip, Duke of Anjou, as the Spanish monarch. The step would have forged a French-dominated Catholic superpower encompassing as well the Spanish Netherlands, modern Belgium, and whatever German states Louis's army could annex. To check this threat of continental mastery, the alarmed and newly muscular British government carpentered a formidable alliance with the Netherlands, Habsburg Austria, Prussia, and Savoy in northwestern Italy, another embattled French neighbor. What followed, beginning in 1702, when Peter Zenger was 5, was the sprawling War of the Spanish Succession, involving immense armies and horrifically bloody combat that took a dozen years to resolve. In the end, thanks in large measure to the enduring heroics of Great Britain's Generalissimo, John Churchill, better known as the Duke of Marlborough, Louis's dream died. French adventurism in Europe was contained for a century, while the British gained unchallenged title to easternmost Canada and bases at Gibraltar and Minorca, giving the Royal Navy control over Mediterranean traffic, and Louis's grudging acknowledgement of Parliament's Act of Succession, ensuring that no Catholic would again reign over Britannia. The Palatinate did not fare so well. Beyond the ruination of war, the Principality suffered a series of savage winters and crop failures, leaving a harvest of hunger and sickness. No surviving documents have enlightened us about Peter Zenger's boyhood, but a scholar writing under the auspices of the German Historical Institute of Washington, D.C., has reported that Peter was the oldest of 4 children of Nikolaus and Johanna Zenger, and that his father was a schoolmaster in Rambach, close to the easternmost extension of France. Whatever his father's calling, or wherever the family's residence was precisely, it can be safely ventured that the Zengers, like their neighbors, were near starvation and despair as long as the war dragged on. Then, in 1709, well before the fighting had run its course, a providential message reached the poor Palatines. It came, indirectly to be sure, from the Queen of England. Had there been what we now call news media to inform the Zenger family of 5, Peter had 2 younger siblings at the time, they might have learned a thing or two about the English monarch who was about to rescue them from doom. Queen Anne, then 44, was in the 7th year of her reign as the first female English sovereign since Elizabeth I's death a century earlier. Leaving no children when she died in 1714, despite 17 known pregnancies, courtesy of her consort, Prince George of Denmark, she would be the last and best ruler of the consummately egomaniacal Stuart dynasty. Anne reached the throne only because her sister and brother-in-law, Queen Mary II and King William III, had also died childless. Anne's prospects, despite the tranquil and increasingly vigorous realm she inherited, were not overly bright. She lacked Queen Elizabeth's shrewdness and the wiles to manipulate scheming courtiers, ministers, and politicians who were often less than respectful of a female ruler. Nor was she physically attractive or magisterial in bearing, and her health, already compromised by so many failed pregnancies, was poor. From her 30s on, she was stricken with gout and possibly lupus and diabetes, which turned her more obese each passing year and limited her mobility. She moved about by wheelchair or was hauled with effort in a sedan chair. But she was far from a fool, attended to affairs of state with unusual diligence for a monarch, and understood the Crown's need to bargain with Parliament's new potency. She was wise enough and fortunate to seek and gain the protection of the nation's most acclaimed soldier and statesman, the Duke of Marlborough, whose skills were so essential to victory in the central ordeal of her reign, the grinding war against the despotic and far more scintillating sovereign Louis XIV. In the midst of her tenure, she presided over the Act of Union, joining the kingdoms of England and Scotland in what has forever after been called Great Britain.